Good evening, race fans, and welcome out to the Oran Park Raceway here for round 3 of Season 2 of the Ottercar AI Racing Series. Our starting grid here going to be a little bit messed up here this evening. Some of these drivers having a bit of trouble in their qualifying attempts here this evening. Before we even get to that, of course, here for Oran Park Raceway, unfortunately, not Mount Panorama, not really in the budget here for the Ottercar AI racing drivers, but this is still sure to be able to put on a heck of a race. 1.62 miles or 2.6 kilometers in length, which, of course, down here in Narella, New South Wales, Australia, I guess we kind of have to use kilometers, that or else someone out here will shoot us. This track, fortunately, not open in the real world anymore, opened up back in 1962, closed in 2010. It is a housing development now. This racetrack, no traces of its existence remain left in the real world, but fortunately it is here on the Ottercar AI Racing series on iRacing for everyone to enjoy in some capacity, even if it's not quite as good as the real thing. But this is a track with a lot of history to it. Hosted Supercars, Australian Touring Car Championship, and the Superbike World Championship a number of times. It's also the second time Ottercar has visited the track. This track was used for one of the Ottercar Mischief Series races, which was won by the Space Corps back in the Lotus 49. We've been running 24 laps here at the Oran Park Raceway, and with that said, drivers are already starting to make their way down to the starting grid, so how about we take a quick look down and see how things will be lining up here for our starting order this evening. And this is the part where I said things are really messy here. Somehow or another, every single driver managed to crash out of their qualifying lap. So technically speaking, I, your broadcaster, am starting on the pole here this evening with Jeremy Albertson in the 985, starting as the actual race leader on the outside line. Back in third, going to be that 44 of the limited time McDonald's McRib rolling it off position number 3, followed by Oh You Know in the 420 back in position number 4. Fifth place going to go to Med in the number 1, followed by Ame Sakaramori for the hybrid development team back in the 6th position. Ooh, excuse me. Row 4 are going to be shared by Ash and Ash. Two of them have been touting Ash supremacy for the past couple of races here, and now they are starting off in the 4th row here this evening. Back in row number 5, it's going to be Kevin 11 in the Crest Complete number 7 for the Shelter for Strays racing team, followed by the 38 of Madcap back in 10th for the Blazing Drunk Drivers. 11th going to go back to the 21 of August, followed by the 777 entry of Sarah Something. Following back in row number 7 is going to be Valnar in the 776 for the Blazing Drunk Drivers, followed by Lake in the 330 entry for the Kill the President team, which I don't know if we're allowed to condone that on Twitch, but that sure enough is their team name. Falling back in the 26 machine, that's going to be Rally rolling it off position number 15, followed by the 4 of Dwayne Day back in 16th. 17th going to be the third member of the Blazing Drunk Drivers team. That's going to be the 37 of Ametrine Queen, sponsored by Riot Games, rolling off position 17. 18th going to go back to the 88 machine. That's going to be Ashley rolling off at the tail end of row number 9, with row 10 going to be the 818 of MF Beatus, followed by last week's winner at the Circuit of the Americas. That's going to be the 3 of thirds for the Shelter for Strays racing team. 21st, that's going to be the 369 of Drop Table Roster, followed by Deeg in the 800 entry, back in position number 22. 23rd, going to go to Blue to Wolf in the 93, followed by the 12 of Pav back in 24th. Then finally rounding out the tail end of the field, unfortunately having a bit of trouble here at his home track. That's going to be the 901 of Sarkin rolling off at the tail end of the field here. That said, once again, going to have to use a little bit of our cheaty broadcaster magic because once again the hotkeys are not working here this evening. But it's time to get things rolling here this evening. Pace car up at the front of the field. Have a short pace lap here in Narell, unfortunately. And course, up in that iRacing.com pace car, we have Dirt leading the field to the green, and conveniently for us, doing some valiant work here on double duty here for the Ottercar Racing League. Also going to be our blimp camera operator here this evening. And I'll tell you what, we're going to be needing to use that camera a lot with how wacky and wonky this track's layout is. iRacing.com pace car is off. Let's pull this up to the blimp camera to get a bit of a top-down view of what all is going to be going on down here. 24 laps is the distance. I'm not quite sure why it is displaying the race length and time here. Already a couple of issues as drivers go off the speedway, though. That looks like limited time number 44, and also out on the track. Both going on the speedway here, backing onto the speedway at that. Both drivers get their cars pointing in the right direction, though, so no caution flag going to fly. Taking a look up high, though, Jeremy Albertson leads the field with... Uh-oh, that's trouble. Valnar going off the track as well. Running back in 13th at the time of that. I don't even know where Valnar is going at this point. He is nowhere near the racing surface. Trying to get back on. Nope, we're... excuse me. I don't think that's legal. You just cut more than half the course right there, but sure enough, Valnar's gonna find his way up in 4th temporarily, or having to bring it to a stop yet again. Fortunately, race control actually getting on that. As up in the front, we have a battle for the lead. Jeremy Albertson and Ame Sakaramori battling it out for the race lead down into turn number 1. Ame follows in down behind that number 985 machine, not quite able to get in position to make that move happen. Heading down into turns 3 and 4. Jeremy Albertson now up to a 1.2 second lead here, as chaos kind of just erupts all over the track. Ame off the track in the number 2, having to bring it to a stop there just to avoid smashing into any other cars. That's going to send Ame back to the tail end of the field just like that. And going to ruin your immersion here once again right quick, as apparently the lap count is not set, which is great to see. We're just going to have to call it here once we cross the line onto lap number 24. And we'll have to do the point scoring by hand, which is a little bit difficult, but that's okay. We can make it work here. Just going to be a little bit wonky, but 24 laps is the distance here as August goes off the speedway and impacting the outside wall. Fortunately, does not look like there's any damage on there. Of course, more drivers going off. Dwayne Dave, Madcat both off the track as well. Here comes Chris Cox in the... Okay, what is going on back there? Caution flag is out on the speedway, as we can't even tell what it all just happened there. Looks like it was happening to whatever that was. Let's see if we can't take a moment to look back and see what exactly just went down there, because that looked a little bit disastrous. Taking a look down at the 420 machine, of course, going down the front straightaway. Everything's looking a-okay. Oh, well, there's a pipe bomb. Managed to find the landmine left behind by Pete Comedy as he goes flying out of the track on his roof. Hold on, we're gonna need to take a look at the blimp cam. We need to get a top-down view of what all just happened to because I'm pretty sure he just died. I think he's dead now. I think that's just the official ruling. This driver, yep, barreling straight through the crowd. That's fine. Out into the parking lot. No big deal. Yeah, it's fine. That's normal. That happens. A-okay here for these Ottercar drivers. It's nothing but a thing. Jumping back up to the live view. Currently, a couple of drivers making the call to come down pit lane. Let's see here. Course limited time 44 went down there. Valnar down there. Drop tail roster and oh you know, all making the call to pit lane. August also electing to make the call to come down pit lane. Of course, fuel is a requirement here in the Ottercar AI Racing Series. Though with the timing and scoring being a little bit messed up, we might see drivers make the call to come down pit lane at maybe a little bit different times than they're used to. Because, of course, as far as these drivers are aware, in terms of the actual AI, this is a 24-hour endurance event and not a 24-lap race. So we'll just have to see how this ends up playing out. We're not going to shorten the caution length here, as we do have several drivers down on pit lane, which looks like for routine stops, and sure enough, most of the rest of the field electing to come down pit lane as well. The only driver deciding to stay out. Nope, a couple more deciding to stay out. Rally stays out, Lake stays out, and Madcap all electing to stay out under this caution. So that will have the three of them being scored as our race leaders when we come to take the green flag. Of course, will that work out for them is the big question here, because they will eventually need to stop for fuel before the end of this event. Of course, also all of the blocker cars not coming down pit lane, so that's going to have the field starting off in a bit of a wonky spot here, because we're going to have the top four cars up here, as it looks like Valnar is going to be given the lucky dog, so he will be getting a lap back in that 776 machine. But we're going to have our top three drivers with the wall of blocker cars behind them. So they're going to have a lot of breathing room to play with here when we take the green flag at the end of this caution. Of course, only 4 laps in the books right now. When we go green flag racing again, should be 6 in the book, I want to say. We should be getting the 1 to go from race control this time by. And then the gloves are going to be coming off. These drivers got to throw it with everything they've got here to try and make anything work out, because I don't know, I think that the issue with the timing and scoring board right now is going to make things very difficult. But what can you do? That's how it goes sometimes. Fair enough, let's see here. Once we cross the line, hopefully the iRacing.com pace car will be turning its lights off. Yes, it will. So we will be 1 to go next, or this time by. Then it's going to be green flag racing once again. We will have officially completed 5 laps when we take the green. And then we're just going to have to do the scoring by hand. And that is going to be quite difficult to make work. 2 more drivers making the call to come back down pit lane. MF Beatus and Dwayne Day both coming to make another stop here. Other drivers still down there with damage from various points of those first couple of laps. Well, it's going to be Rally, Lake, and Madcap, your first 3 cars. Then we just have the wall of blocker cars. Then it's going to be Ash, Jeremy Albertson, Sarah something, Kevin 11, Bloody Wolf, Ash, and Med, your top 10. Again, that's excluding the blocker cars. Sarkin on quite a tear so far this evening, though. Started at the very tail end of the field, last place, and he's now all the way up plus 10 into 15th. And who knows, that's a driver we'll have to keep an eye on, maybe having a little bit of a home field advantage here. Of course, our 1 Australian driver here in Ottercar for our 1 Australian race here in the Ottercar AI Racing Series. Getting most of the way around the speedway here, and then we will be going green flag racing once again. Sure enough, iRacing.com safety car pulls it down to the safety of pit lane. And we are getting ready to go rolling once again here at the Oran Park Raceway. Green flag up in the air. And you know what? A little bit of a slow start for Lake here, but for a second it looked like drivers were going to be trying to send it 3 wide down into turn number 1. Not quite going to do it though. So far so good around the field as we send it down into turn 1. Potentially a driver off the track. Looks like maybe Dwayne Day is off. Sure enough, Dwayne Day off the track manages to get it rolling once again. Little scrape against the tire barrier, but everything a-okay otherwise for the driver of that number 4 machine, other than the fact that he's back at the tail end of the field. Jeremy Overson also going off down in turn number 5 there. That's going to take him down from the lead of the race all the way back to 7th, and have Lake being scored as our new race leader. Ash in the 11 machine just behind. That's going to be Rally and Sarah Something, a driver we have not seen running up in the front half of the field in a little while. Doing pretty solid here this morning. Of course, the big thing here is keeping an eye on the lap counter here on the timing and scoring, since we will have to manually end the race when we cross the line onto lap number 25. And a couple of drivers making the call down to pit lane under the green flag here. Actually looks like most of the field is coming down into pit lane here under the green flag for green flag pit stops. Not entirely sure what the strategy is here, but looks like pretty much everyone is trying except Lake, Rally, Bloody Wolf, and Madcap. We're all still running out on the speedway right now. Of course, the closest battle here is between these 3 drivers, Madcap, Bloody Wolf, and Rally. All duking it out for the second position here. The rest of the field getting pretty spread out here. Really wild spread of pit times here for some of these drivers who did decide to make the call to make the green flag pit stops. Anywhere from 4 to looks like about 9-second stops here, as it looks like MF Beatus has gone off the speedway. Looks like he is down in, looks like turn 9 in that 818 machine. Doesn't cost him any positions from how far back he is from that green flag pit cycle. As our race leader has gone off, Lake is off the track in the 330 again. Little bit of damage to the right front, but she manages to bring it to a stop before really hitting the tire barrier. That's going to allow Rally, Rudy Wolf, and Madcap all to get around her here, and now have Rally in the 26 as our new race leader, with a 2.5 second gap to play with at that. Bloody Wolf's got a lot of work to do if he wants to catch up. Bloody Wolf's last time by was about 0.3 of a second faster than that 26 of Rally though. So lots of what ifs here on how this might play out, and of course I say that, but Rally is losing ground both to Bloody Wolf and Madcap here as they all duke it out for the lead of the race. Heading down into turn number 12 to cross the start-finish line once again, and it's going to be a drag race down into turn number 1. Bloody Wolf immediately pulls out of line and pulls around Rally. Madcap following close behind, doesn't quite have the momentum he needs to get up here in this battle. As we sail it down into turn 1, everything looks pretty okay for these 3 drivers, which is miraculous because, again, in qualifying, pretty much every single driver went off the track in that one particular corner. Further back in the field, looks like the limited time 44 is off the track again, and once again, he's darn near backing back onto it. Pulls it to a stop so the blocker car can go by, gets it rolling once again, but that is going to bump him all the way back to 28th. Currently he's being scored a couple laps down here in that number 44 machine. Not quite having the race that he was looking for here tonight. Still, all the drama right now is the battle going on for second here between Rally and Madcap. Madcap falling back to about 8/10 of a second down there, not quite having the corner he was hoping for, as a couple of drivers off the speedway. Is there something's gone off? Kevin 11 off. In that number 7 machine. Looks like he's alright. Let's see if we can't take a quick look back and see what happened to the driver of that Crest Complete entry. See Sarah something off the track back there, just locks up the front tires going into the corner. A little bit of a bump against the tire barrier, but no damage incurred for that number 7. Fortunately, he's able to roll it back on the track and keep her going. Jeremy Albertson with front end damage, making the call to come down pit lane. Not quite sure where that came from, unless he just blew the corner. Coming out of number 12, it's looking like that's exactly what happened. Let's take a quick look and see what the deal is over there for the driver of that 985 machine. Sure enough, locks it up and not quite able to get the car rotated going down into turn number 12. Immediately makes it down into pit lane, so fortunately no cars stopped on the track we have to worry about. And would you believe it, it's still the battle for second, where Madcap and Rally are both just absolutely popping off here. Madcap immediately eliminated from last week's race back at the Circuit of the Americas, literally taken out within the first 30 seconds of the race. Now coming back with a vengeance here this evening. 2 seconds back from our race leader, but he's got Rally right behind him. You can see Blue to Wolf up there in that number 93, up plus 22 positions right now in the number 93 entry. Of course, Blue to Wolf, the only driver here in the Ottercar AI Racing Series that actually does play iRacing. And right now it looks like that is working a bit to his advantage here. Pulling away from the rest of the field for the time being, as once again we see Kevin 11 go off the speedway down in turn number 1, scraping against the tire barriers again. Deeg also off the track, also doing the exact same scrape against the tire barriers there. That's going to be sending them back to the 15th position. No damage on any of the cars though, but another driver now off the track. At least we got a report that Ashley went off, but it looks like she's doing a-okay right now. Running back in the 10th position behind, looks like behind Sarah something, as sure enough, Ame Sakuramori right there is not on the lead lap, so this is not a battle for position that we have going on here between the 2 and the 88. Looks like there's actually several lap cars between the 88 and Sarah something. And potentially trouble for Lake. Lake off the track. Again, just drivers overdriving turn 1 a little bit here. Keeping it pointed in the right direction, but eventually someone is going to blow that corner a little bit too hard here. Out for the lead, getting really close here. There's a lap car there. That's the number 12 of Pav, slowing down Bluety Wolf, and that has allowed Madcap and Rally both to catch up to him here. But I don't think it's going to be enough to see a change for the lead. That 12 car just a little bit too far off the pace, and I don't think Madcap's going to be able to get around him. Of course, making the deep dive down into turn number 1 once again. Who knows how that's going to go? We have seen pretty much every driver in this field blow turn 1 at some point. Pav pulling it out of the way. That's going to allow Madcap in the 38 to get around. And there's actually a couple lap cars there now, separating Rally from our top 2. Dwayne Day and Pav both there a lap down as Bluety Wolf goes off the speedway in the number 93. Again, no damage on it though, immediately pulls it back on the track, but that will have Madcap as our new race leader with 2 lap cars between himself and Rally just behind. So he's got some room to work with here in that number 38 machine. Currently 13 laps completed, getting ready to be on to 14 here. So 10 to go here at the Oran Park Raceway. Got another driver off the track here. That's the 666 entry of Zoe running back in the 10th spot. Looks like she's A-okay, but we got a notification that she was off the track, but looks like maybe not. Blocker cars pretty thoroughly spread throughout the field at this point, though. As let's see if we can't get a little bit of a zoom out from our blimp camera here. First courtesy to Dirt for providing the top-down view of the speedway here. As you can see, everyone is pretty much everywhere out here on the speedway. Madcap, our race leader right now, heading down towards turn number 6 with Pav just behind. Rally has fallen back by 3.5 seconds now. And of course, Booty Wolf now all the way back 8 seconds behind. As between just self-spins and these lap cars and these blocker cars all being in the way, it has spread everything out around the field here. The next driver back after all of this is going to be Lake, and Lake is all the way back pretty much on the other half of the speedway, as we have a car off the circuit. That is Ash now in the 11, our winner from round number 1, ripping the front bumper off of his car. And sure enough, that is a pretty huge chunk of debris on the racetrack that they are going to have to go clean up. And that was entirely unnecessary. Ash did not need to hit that tire barrier. He obviously was in control of the car, and he just elected to do it. There's a driver around as well. That was the 88 of Ashley. No, it was not. Who was that was turned around? That might be the 69 of Chris Cox. Sure enough, what happened to Chris Cox at the drop of that yellow flag? Take a look back here. This is not what the caution was for. It just happened at the same time. Chris Cox overdriving the corner a little bit and then backs it back up onto the track almost. Thankfully brings it to a stop without hitting anyone, but that could have been a hazard in of itself if Ash didn't go off the track and rip his front bumper off. Now let's take a look back and see what actually brought out the caution. With Ash just overdriving turn 1, goes way off the track, nearly takes out Jeremy Albertson in the process. And sure enough, just rips the front bumper off and leaves it sitting on the track, because you know what, why not? It's weight reduction, right? But sure enough, you can see the radiators bent up on that Restaurant's Care 11 too, so that damage might actually end up taking him out of the race here. Sure enough, that is going to be caution flag number 2, just like that. Currently 16 laps in the books. And right now, looks like no one is going to be coming down pit lane for service, but that might just because we don't have the field all stacked up to the pace car yet. So gonna let them get back up to the front of the field, get everyone all lined up behind the pace car before we take a look at things. Lake being apparently told to go to the end of the line here. Not quite sure why they're sending Lake back. There is smoke coming out of the top of that car, so Lake might have actually lost power here in that 330. And the car's trying to go. I'm not quite sure what the deal is, though. And sure enough, Lake's going to call the tow truck and take the tow down to pit lane. I'm not quite sure what was going on under the hood of that 330 machine, but sure enough, that's going to be sending her probably back to the tail end of the field now as everyone rounds up towards pit lane, and it looks like most of the field going to be taking the call down to make their stops. Bloody Wolf electing to stay out, but practically everyone else is coming on in now. So far, Bloody Wolf, the only driver staying out on the track right this moment. Everyone else coming down to pit lane. Ame Sakuramori also staying out in that number 2 car, presumably trying to get a lap back here. But yeah, sure enough, everyone else is coming down pit lane. It's just Blue who is deciding to stay out here in that number 93, and that's a little bit of a risky call here. Still got 8 laps left to go around this circuit, and I don't know if Blue has the fuel to make it happen, because again, he only pit back all the way on lap 4, and we're now here on lap 17. We'll just have to keep an eye on him. I don't think it's going to play out, but it's still possible. Looks like all of the blocker cars are also down on pit lane, so that is going to allow some of the Ottercar field to actually be able to vie for the lead here at the start, not have that wall of slower cars that they have to work their way through. But as it stands right now, your top 10, Bloody Wolf, Dwayne Day, Rally, Ash, Madcap, Ashley, Sarah Something, Zoe, Sarkin, and Pav. Your top 10 right now. And it also looks like that's the remainder of your cars on the lead lap at the time being. And I'm curious about that number 93. Is he going to second guess himself and come down pit lane here? No, he is not. He's committed to it. He's staying out, sure enough. I respect the grind. Lights are out on the pace car though, so we will be going green flag next time by. And this might just be for all the motorables. This might be the last caution flag we see here this evening, and then pretty much it's just going to be a drag race to the finish. We are pretty close to the end here. Only 6 laps to go right now. Going to be 5 to go from the flagman when we get around this circuit. Of course, gotta give a big thank you to everyone tuning in here for today's race. We've been getting plagued with a lot of technical issues lately that I'm not entirely sure what the deal is with. But we're still running the events the best we can, even with everything going on. Next week's event, we do not have a date for it yet, but I believe that next week is going to be Oxford Plains Speedway. If that's the case, it will be our first oval here of season number 2. Only 3 ovals on the schedule. But next week should be Oxford Plains, 110 laps around that circuit, but of course it is only about a third of a mile over there, I believe, for the Blue Shell 110. And that's bound to be a heck of a doozy. I would imagine we're going to see more unique race leaders in that race than any race that we have seen so far. That said, we're making our way to the front of the field, getting ready to go racing here once again. It's going to be Bloody Wolf and Dwayne Day leading the field to green. That's going to be Rally, Ash, Madcap, Ashley, Sarah Something, and Sarkin up here. Green flag up in the air once again here, as immediately we get a call that potentially we have drivers crashed back at the back. No, it is just lap cars being lap cars, which is a problem as the field is catching up to them already. They weren't able to catch the pace car under that yellow. Everyone navigates turn 1 pretty successfully though, as Queen Ametrine is off the track there. Again, that is a lapped car. I respect the effort of trying to get out of the way of our race leaders, but I think there's a little bit too much effort put into that attempt. Dwayne Day currently being scored as our race leader. I say that Dwayne Day goes way off the speedway, so not anymore. He's not. Booty Wolf is back up to the lead here, followed by Madcap and Ash as Dwayne Day is still... Dwayne, you can't do that, Dwayne. Oh, Lord. Dwayne Day is, again, just massively cutting basically the entire circuit. He brings it to a stop to not get slapped with the biggest penalty known to man, fortunately. Otherwise, he would have to be slapped with the biggest penalty known to man for literally cutting about, call it about half a mile of circuit, as looks like a lot of the field is making the call down to pit lane. Why they did not pit under that yellow when they had the opportunity to, I do not know. But sure enough, Rally in the 26 is going to be going back to being scored as our race leader here, as potentially the only driver on the lead lap that is electing to stay out. Sure enough, Rally is the only driver on the lead lap that is elected to stay out. So Rally's going to be building up a comfortable lead here. The question is, can Rally stay out for these remaining 4 laps? And of course also not go off the speedway in these remaining 4 laps, as we have seen many drivers just completely throw away the race lead without really doing anything particularly out of the ordinary. Rally right now has a 36-second lead because everyone has come down pit lane, and it is entirely possible that Rally could botch it. Right now, looking good in the 26. As long as they don't come down pit lane, everything should be fine here for that hybrid development team driver. A couple of drivers coming out pit lane. Ame Sakaramori just came out, and now it looks like that is Zoe coming out on the speedway. Third's also now just coming out of pits in that number 3 machine. Third's currently being scored back into the 10th position. The last car on the lead lap right now, and that might be about to change as Rally comes up behind her. And sure enough, Third's overdrives the corner, and that is going to be putting her a lap down. 9 cars left on the lead lap here this evening, and only 3 laps left to go here around the Not-Mount-Panorama circuit. As, another pipe bomb has gone off at the tail end of the field. We are not going to throw the caution, though, as we are within 3 laps of completion of the race. And Ottercar has a strict no ending the race under caution policy. So unfortunately, that 030 machine is just going to have to cope and seethe, but we will see if we can't get a quick replay of what just happened to it, because I think we've seen our 3rd landmine of the day, courtesy of peak comedy, putting landmines on our racetrack. Let's take a further look back here. Head down to turn number 1, and sure enough, just a little one of those signature Australia landmines. Very unfortunate for the driver of the 030 machine, was running back in the 8th position when that landmine went off. Of course, the field is so spread out right now that he might actually be able to hang on to that spot. His car is still running at full speed somehow, so he's not out of this race yet. That said, 22 laps is the nope, sure enough, Ash is going to be coming down pit lane. Very unfortunate, not surprising. I mean, it looked like the car was still running at full speed, but he's going to be put a lap down anyways as Rally goes around him in that 26. Only 2 more laps around the circuit for the driver of this number 26 machine. Again, the race thinks that we have 23 and a half hours left to go, so we're just going to have to screenshot the scoring as it is when we get through lap 24. 2 laps left to go here for the driver of the 26, leading the race absolutely uncontested with a 38-second lead over the rest of the field. I'll tell you what, pit strategies are a huge deal in Ottercar, but this is by far the biggest I think I've ever seen it been. Just the big question now is, does Rally have the gas necessary to make it to the end of this thing? Of course, the blockers are not being scored for the championship, so it's going to be Sarah Something and Sarkin in second. Both of them have pit later than Rally has. So if Rally doesn't have fuel to the end, Sarah Something and Sarkin might actually have it. And in that case, Sarkin really needs to be pushing with everything he's got. Ashley as well, just behind. All of these drivers need to be throwing everything they have at each other on the assumption that maybe, possibly, Rally does not have the fuel to make it to the end. White flag up in the air, though, one more time around the Not-Mount-Panorama circuit for that 26 machine, and we will be crowning them the winner. We will just have to see how things shake out. Because of the timing and scoring being messed up, the scoring will be done as Rally crosses the line, regardless of where the other cars are on the track. Heading down through turns 5 and 6 here, Rally is looking like they are going to be taking home the win here at the Oran Park Raceway for round number 3 of the Ottercar AI Racing Series. And they will be locking themselves into the playoffs for the hybrid development team and being our third unique winner here so far this season. Going down through 10 and 11 for the final time, looking a-okay up through turn number 12. Coming down the front straightaway, Rally is going to win here at the Oran Park Raceway. And as such, the field has been frozen in their current positions as they stand right now. So it's going to be Rally taking home the win, Sarkin with a second place finish, followed by Ashley in third, Bluty Wolf in fourth, Sarah Something rounding out your top 5 here this evening. And the rest of the field, I'm just going to post the official results in the Discord server once we get it all sorted out. But for now, that's everything we have here at the Oran Park Raceway. Unfortunately, not able to pull up the results screen here as the race technically is still going, but we have reached our 24 lap limit here. So Rally is the winner, and the timing and scoring will just have to be done by hand as we get everything done. But for now, thank you all for everyone who tuned in here to today's race. It's been a little bit of a shit show, but it's Ottercar. It wouldn't be Ottercar without it being a shit show. So for now, thank you all for coming out, and I will see y'all next week for the Blue Shell 110 at the Oxford Plains Speedway. Have a good evening, race fans.